Hey everybody, Sawyer here. So I've kind of changed the direction of my channel again. I'm sorry, I know, to more of a reselling channel because that's really what I'm getting into lately. Just trying to find good deals on stuff, flip it, sell it, mostly on eBay, some other platforms too, but mostly on eBay. Um, so I just wanted to do this video, basically going over some of the sales I've made recently. Basically gonna be a slideshow format like I usually like to do, mostly just because I didn't think about this idea until after a lot of these things have already sold and were left my house. So only way I can really show you what sold is by taking the pictures of them and talking about them. So first of all, let's get into it. This was a Marvel Masterworks Fantastic Four. I think it was like volume 3 or 4. It started off with the first appearance in the Impossible Man, and then kind of kept going until about, I don't know, it has about maybe six or seven issues on it. Really cool. These Masterworks are really awesome collections. They're in color. They're very nice quality. Very hardcover. They have dust jackets, and this book would have been worth more if I had a dust jacket, but I lost it years ago. So I sold it for a little bit lower than what they would normally go for, and it sold, which was good. Next up, we have this Robocop Trilogy DVD thing. I think it's just DVD. It's the first 3 movies, I believe. And I was surprised it sold because I don't really sell a lot of videos or DVDs and stuff. So that was good. I was surprised by this one. Now, if you want to talk about surprised they sold, I'm really surprised this sold, especially in Highline, because I'm a very new YouTuber, eBayer, I will admit, and I took this horrible picture. I'm sorry. I didn't realize how bad this was until after I posted it. It's so blurry. It's, you can see my bed in here, which I know you just taking a better, more solid background. Also, these Game Boy games are not very desirable. They're very cheap. None of them really worth anything. I didn't make the listing very expensive, so that's probably why it sold. But I was just surprised it sold based on the horrible picture and the not great quality of the actual games, the titles themselves. And the guy who bought them gave me really good feedback, so I was even more surprised by that. So I actually bought this card, this custom sketch card. I had this made. Like, I asked the guy to draw this particular picture, and he sent it to my house a long time ago, back when I was in more of a collecting phase and wasn't selling. But I just don't have no real need for it, and it's just there. So I decided to sell it online, and I got about half of what I paid for it. But that's how it goes sometimes. Sometimes you're just trying to clear stuff out, and you sell stuff for a lot less than what you paid for it. Uh, and I forget the guy's name. He's actually a pretty well established artist. He does a lot of like kid kind of cartoony style art. He has a book. He has a comic book actually. I'm trying to remember what the hell it's called. I really can't think of what it's called right now. But Encounter. It's called Encounter. Check it out. Next up, I had this lot of oversized Magic the Gathering cards. These are cards that you can't really play in your deck. They're just kind of there on the side, like in Commander and stuff. These cards are these type of cards are very niche, and I just put a whole bunch of them in a lot together and sold them. I'm surprised because I've had them for so long. And yeah, I know the picture is pretty horrendous. Next up, we have this Yu-Gi-Oh card, Ancient Fairy Dragon. It was a little banged up, so I lowered it down a little bit. Pretty aggressive. I usually make most of my listings pretty aggressive. I'm not trying to hold on to stuff forever. So yeah, I got rid of this. Pretty nice. The thing that's cool about cards like this, trading cards, especially like 1 to 4 trading cards, you can put in an envelope with just a stamp, and you can just send it off. And as long as it's like $10 or less, I don't mind doing that, because even if it gets lost or if they claim that it's lost, then I don't mind like losing that $10. Even though I have no refunds on my account, so that shouldn't happen. But I'm not sure how that works. Here we sold this graphic novel. Basically, it's collecting the Alien costume saga from the Spider-Man run of, like, I guess the late 80s, maybe early 90s. I think mostly 80s though. So this is a really cool graphic novel. It was a bit banged up. It's a bit older, but I moved it for a pretty good amount. I was happy with the amount. Another bad picture. You will see that later in the video when once I kind of get a dedicated little studio area, like corner set up to take my pictures and stuff and keep my stuff in organized. You'll see that once I start doing that, the picture quality is a lot better on these listings, better than this anyway. Here we have a Golden Age copy of Police Comics. I want to say it was number 40 something, 46, 49, something like that. This was really banged up. I mean, I bought this off eBay myself a long time ago, and I actually ended up getting about double what I paid for it, which wasn't a whole lot. I didn't pay a whole lot for it, but I got about double what I paid for it back in the day. This book survived a house fire. Not a house fire in my house, but just a house fire in one of its previous owners. So as you can see in the picture, there's some severe burn damage. I let the buyer know all that. And but I also like kind of sold it. I was like, you know, hey, you don't come across Golden Age comics very often, not for this price point. So I sold it because Golden Age comics, let's face it, they're gonna sell no matter how beat up they are. Just somebody's gonna want them for reading, like, or just collecting purposes. And I'm really not comfortable like discussing like the prices on what I paid or what I sell stuff for, just like personal and like safety reasons. So I don't really do it in these videos. Here we have another Yu-Gi-Oh order. This was 3 copies of the same card that I kind of bundled up because these cards aren't worth a lot. So I bundled up 3 of them to make it worth the sending in the envelope and without the tracking, you know, and still have a little bit of profit. So this was a good one. I got really good feedback. This was actually one of my first positive feedbacks that I've gotten. You know, like my eBay store is not super new, but it hasn't been active in a long time. So since I've been reactive, this is the first time that like I got a really good feedback on it. Was on this one. So this sale was for a SanDisk memory card, micro memory card. I had bought this, and then I ended up finding a really good deal on another one at another store that was actually 3 times the amount of, or 2 times the storage. So I bought that one. I didn't really need 2 of them, so I sold this one on eBay. I actually managed to get about my money's worth, maybe a little bit less once you do like, you know, the fees and shipping, but it was definitely a good sale. Like I was happy with the amount I got for it. This was for a Switch game. I got this from GameStop. They had a pretty good sale on it, you know, aggressive price on it, and I got this. It was pretty cool. I like it's cool. It's an interesting game, but I have no need for it, so I went and sold it. Surprisingly, like I got an offer for it really quick, like within the first like 30 minutes I listed it, and it was a really low ball offer, so I decided to turn it down. And then I got another offer the next day for more than what I originally paid for it, so I was happy to accept that offer. Which just goes to show you that sometimes it's worth, you know, going through a couple offers, even if you're just desperate for sales. Sometimes you're better off just, you know, letting a couple offers sit there or refusing a couple. This sale was for a bundle of Magic the Gathering lands that you basically, it's like a sealed bundle that you get when you buy like certain they're called fat packs. And yeah, so I got this. This is it was a decent sale. It's not worth a whole lot, but when you consider all the other stuff you get in those fat packs, this is a nice little side item that you can get some money off when you buy in fat packs, especially if you're buying them by bulk. You can sell these pretty cool. Here we have a Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu, pretty new Pokemon game, actually the newest one until, you know, next one comes out in the next couple months. But funny story about this one was the guy contacted me about it, and we had like this back and forth because he kept asking me all these questions about it, and like and he was so worried that the game wasn't actually in there, because apparently I didn't take a picture of the actual game, and I didn't actually say in the description that the game was in the box. So he was just trying, I guess he was trying to cover his T's, and he was just like, the game is in there, right? Because he didn't mention the game was in there. And I'm like, yeah, the game's in there. Like, what? I'm sitting here thinking in my head, like, who do you think I am that I would sell the box without the game, knowing that you're probably going to give me horrible feedback and contact eBay, even if I did do that? Not saying I would, because I'm not that kind of person, but I just thought it was crazy that apparently people do that, because he's had to have experiences like that before. Another Magic the Gathering card for sale. Oh, I listed. This is a foil. Another one that went in an envelope. This was a good sale. I did take an offer for it, but I mean, this card's been sitting in my collection for a long time. I've listed it a few times on other platforms. They just never sell, so I was happy to get rid of it. As you can see, the pictures are starting to get better and they're getting more tighter. There's not any background stuff anymore. So this was for a bunch of Dice Master cards, which is a game that basically uses the Marvel and DC and other licenses from other popular things. And you play with dice and cards. It's an alright game, but the game has been dying for a long time. It's just not what it used to be. The value is just not there for the cards. And I bought a big collection years ago, and I sold some of the really good stuff like years ago for money, but a lot of what was left just wasn't selling individually on other platforms. So I just bundled it all up together and listed it for sale. I was really surprised by this because the guy who bought it, I had it as an auction, and the guy who bought it just did an offer, but he actually did an offer that was higher than what my buyout price was that I had listed. So I was really surprised. He gave me almost $20 more than what I had listed for this order, because I guess he just really wanted this big bundle. This is another Magic the Gathering card. Honestly, I sell a lot of Magic the Gathering cards. It's probably one of the, that and comics are probably the 2 most common things you will see on my store. It's just the 2 things I have the most of, and there's just a lot of value within different random cards in comics. This is for 2 copies of this card, Camouflage. This is a beta card. Cards from the beta set are pretty much like the if you're talking about comic book terms, it's pretty much like the equivalent to a Golden Age comic. It's like the oldest era of the game when the game first started, and they're pretty sought after. You don't find them very in good condition very often. These were not in that great condition, and so I took kind of a lower offer than what I was originally wanting for them. It wasn't super low, but it was, considered like a decent amount lower, but I was happy to get rid of them. This is a card that's very niche. It used to be worth nothing. All of a sudden, it's kind of worth a little bit now because it's one deck popped up that plays it and it's popular. Though the card still is not that popular, and it's, and the deck is very niche, and you don't know how long that deck's gonna be around for. It's kind of like a flavor of the week kind of thing, made popular by some YouTube channels. So this card could easily fall down back to nothing. So I got rid of it. I took kind of a low offer for it, but I was happy with it. This was a very solid sell. I don't really know what it is about Magic cards, but I almost always get offers for everyone I list, especially the ones I list that don't have that not gonna have tracking. They're gonna be envelopes. I always get low offers for those, like lower offers, but this is one that actually sold for exactly what it was worth very quickly. I was happy with it. I wish that would happen more often, but people always want to just lowball you. I mean, I know they do that in real life too with garage sales, but it gets annoying after a while. And like, if you want the card and it's a good price point, why not buy it instead of going even? So FYI, this is actually an older listing that sold finally, but it was an older listing, so it's one of the bad pictures that like shows stuff in my room that I didn't realize it was showing. Like, I did not realize that it shows my bed that's not made at the time, and it's not the greatest looking background in there. But this is basically a lot of Punisher books. It's Punisher Armory, which is a really cool mini-series, basically going over the Punisher's weapons and tactics, and kind of like a documentary book almost. Kind of cool. This was a pretty good little, this is a pretty cool little game. This is basically like a English translation for the first two Mother games, which are known as Earthbound and the Estates. This is like a fan-made game. This was not officially licensed by Nintendo, so it's kind of hard to sell and pretty hard to find. Like, pretty much every store that buys video games, GameStop, Game Exchange, Amazon, like website, they do not recognize this game as a game or whatever. So it's hard to sell it. I eventually did sell it. I had to go down a few dollars less and then like send an offer to somebody. But yeah. And the most recent thing that sold was this set of harmonicas. Now, I've had these since I was pretty young. I got into it because my dad used to play a lot of guitar. But I just wanted to play an instrument with him, and this was the only instrument that really kind of spoke to me that I liked, because it just something about the oral instruments I've always kind of liked. But yeah, I feel like there's plenty of jokes to be had there, but yeah, whatever. So this was a pretty good little sale. I mean, it was basically like 7 different harmonicas and different keys from different companies. I was quite happy with this sale. I did accept an offer that was like $10 lower than what I originally put, but I did price it very high just because I didn't really have a good idea of exactly what to get for it. So I just listed it kind of pretty high and just was hoping that somebody would meet me close, and they did actually. So I was happy with this one. So thank you guys for watching. I'm going to start doing more videos going over like my sales, stuff I pick up, stuff like that. Right now the store is mostly focused on comics, trading cards, the occasional movies and stuff, some VHSs, because I do a lot of VHS collecting. I'm going to do a video soon about how to do that and what to look for. But yeah, thank you guys for watching, and stay tuned for more videos, and I hope you guys like this new kind of content direction. For all my comic book followers, I still do a lot of comic book stuff with the sales and stuff, so something to look for.